Uncertainty settled over the city like soot. Spies were everywhere. Some spied for the British, loyal to the king. Others spied for the patriots, loyal to Washington's army. Still other spies were loyal to lining their pockets. But there was one little spy that moved through the streets unnoticed, even though she wore scarlet stockings. Her name was Maggie Rose, and she lived with her mother and brother in the Leather Apron District, next to the harbor. Her father had fallen at the Battle of Princeton last winter, and lay with the others beneath the soil of New Jersey. Many men had gone to war. Even her brother Jonathan, who's only 15, he joined Washington's army to wear the blue coat. Maggie Rose was loyal only to Jonathan. No one suspected her of anything. Not this hard-working old seamstress who helped her poor mother by earning 3 pence. Why, she even hung the wash out every week like clockwork. But that's where Maggie Rose fooled them. For it was her small clothes on hanging from her 3rd floor window that held a secret code. She lined her clothes on it perfectly with the harbor, just like when she and Jonathan used to play harbor master. Jonathan pretended to be the harbor master, cupping his hands like a spyglass, barking out docking and departing orders from an upper window. Maggie Rose grumbled below, playing the harbor master's assistant, arranging cobblestones, apples, and scraps of wood as though they were real ships. Jonathan always tripped her so there'd be a collision. Then he'd make loud crashing and exploding sounds till they'd both laugh. It was only a game. But now things were different. The country was at war. So once a week at dusk, using their secret code, Maggie Rose hung out her stockings and petticoats in the same order as the real ships along the wharf. A white petticoat was code for a lightweight, friendly vessel from the colonies. A scarlet stocking hanging toe up meant a merchant vessel from the islands or foreign port. When the toe hung down, it meant that the vessel was suspicious and needed watching. But when the ship was riding along the water, it meant only one thing: heavy farms for the British. That's when Maggie Rose would weight that stocking down with a cobblestone. Jonathan would sneak into the city after dark, wearing a disguise, because if a spy were caught, he could be hanged. He'd read her clothes on and steal away through the darkened city to the countryside, relaying the information back to Washington's headquarters. One time, Jonathan disguised himself as a crippled beggar with a cane, limping badly. Maggie Rose became worried. Then he flipped into a perfect handstand, bouncing on his cane like an acrobat. "Oh, Jonathan, you silly goat," Maggie Rose giggled from behind her window, then pulled in her clothes on and slept with a smile on her face. Then early one morning, the battle had started. British and Patriot cannons were blasting each other across Brandywine Creek. The ferocious bombardment was so loud that all of Philadelphia could hear it, even though it was 25 miles away. The date was September 11th, 1777. On that same foggy dawn, Jonathan hid in the midst with the Pennsylvania line, lying low in the barley cornfields and reedy banks along Brandywine Creek, clutching his musket as cannonballs screeched overhead, waiting for the command to attack the British redcoats on foot. On that same foggy dawn, Jonathan hid in the midst with the Pennsylvania line, lying low in the barley cornfields and reedy banks along Brandywine Creek, clutching his musket as cannonballs screeched overhead, waiting for the command to attack the British redcoats on foot. But Maggie Rose could not hear this part of the battle from where she sat in Ross's upholstery shop, ripping out seam after seam, unable to concentrate on the required 16 stitches per inch. "Maggie Rose, those seams can wait," said Mr. Ross kindly. She was a mild-mannered Quaker woman whose husband had fallen too. "The tidewater should stop from the Carolinas. Run down to the harbor and fetch my order of cotton batting and binding." "Yes, ma'am." She needed to survey the harbor, for Jonathan would come soon after dark. Maggie Rose's sharp eyes swept over the many ships crowded along the wharf. On this day, she was startled to see that many ships would need cobblestones. Quickly, she fetched Mr. Ross's order. But before she left, something made her look across the Delaware toward New Jersey, and her heart nearly stopped. For there, heading in the middle of the river among many moored ships, sat a British man of war. Jonathan must know this. She raced back and set to work. It was the heaviest clothesline she'd ever hung. But that night, Jonathan didn't come. Yet she kept watch for him long into that black night. He didn't come the next night either, or the next, or the one after that. More and more nights passed, yet she kept watch for him from her window, never losing hope. Then one night, a shadowy figure stood in Jonathan's place. Who was he? Could it be Jonathan? But when he saw her window go dark, he turned to leave. Maddie Rose didn't even stop to think or even slip on her shoes. She bounded after him, darting in and out of the shadows between the lampposts, stalking him like a silent cat in her stocking feet through the damp streets. Jonathan, is that you? The stranger turned and smiled. Seth. And by the looks of your feet, you must be little Miss Scarlet Stockings, Jonathan's sister. You know him? You know my brother? She choked. Her face flushed hot and her throat tightened as she waited for Seth's answer. But Seth was silent. Damp night air drifted in from the Delaware, brushed against Maddie Rose's burning cheeks, and seeped into Seth's eyes as he stared hard into the darkness. Then solemnly, he bowed his head and spoke in a low voice. I'm proud to say I did, miss. Then slowly he handed her a bundle. With trembling hands she reached out. For a few moments they held the bundle together. Then Seth spoke softly. I know your clothes I could miss. I've come to take Jonathan's place. Maddie Rose nodded slowly as tears spilled from her eyes. She tried to hold up her chin as her father would have, but it drooped as her bottom lip began to quiver. Then Seth spoke softly. Will not fail, miss. I promise you that. Then he was gone. Back in her darkened room, Maddie Rose slowly untied the bundle. It was Jonathan's blue coat. Tenderly, she let her small fingers explore the blue wool serge until she found it. A stiff, dried blood stain. Then, with her littlest finger, she lightly traced two letters on the pewter bindings. U.S. Us, she whispered in the dark. For us, dear brother, for all of us. That night, and for many nights to follow, Maddie Rose sat in her tiny room, lit by a single candle, threaded her needle and sew. She was making an American flag from her scarlet stockings, her white petticoats, and her brother's blue coat. And sewn into every one of her stitches was a tear of grief and a clenched fist of defiance. In the spring of 1778, the British left Philadelphia, crossed the Delaware, and were sent running by Washington's army at the Battle of Monmouth in New Jersey. Patriots of Philadelphia celebrated, flying flags everywhere. But there was one little flag that hung by itself on a small clothesline high over Apple Tree Alley. And fresh spring breezes traveled from New Jersey and lifted it up high. How proud and strong it flew, just like her father's chin, for it was Maddie Rose's scarlet stockings. Many years have passed since that spring of 1778. No one knows for sure what happened to this little flag. But if by chance you found it in an old dusty attic, or barn loft, or musty museum basement, you would find that one star is bigger than the rest. It sits in a place of honor at the top of an arch in a field of blue of 13 stars, the Keystone Star for Pennsylvania. And if you looked under that star,